Sarah Blackwood and her not-so-friendly flight from San Francisco to Vancouver. There she is with her 2-year-old son, Giorgio. He says they were kicked off a United Airways flight in San Francisco. The reason, Giorgio was crying too much. The singer is part of the Canadian band Walk Off the Earth. They are currently on a world tour. She was on her way to Vancouver, where the band is playing tomorrow night. Blackwood shot this video after being kicked off the flight. In the video, United employee says she's never seen anything like it. In a statement, United Airlines says the crew made a difficult decision based on security concerns. Now she and her son, Giorgio, eventually did make it to Vancouver. And Sarah joins me now in studio. So Sarah, tell us what happened here. What happened on this plane?
Yeah, my mind is still really boggled about the whole situation. I had my son with me, as I always have. I'm in a traveling band, and I've been traveling with him for over 2 years, or almost 2 years. He's almost 2 now, and he was just having a fussy day. He was crying. He was loud. He was kind of squirming in my arms. He's considered an infant still, so he's still on my lap, and you know, it was just one of those days where he was a loud baby on an airplane, and I was asked a couple of times to control my child, or because I'm the parent, I should calm him down. And you know, there's only so much you can do when we were in a window seat, so we were really confined, and I had to have him on my lap, and there's only so much you can do. He was upset. It took him about 7 minutes to fall asleep, and then they turned the plane around, went back to the gate, and asked me to leave the plane after he was fully sleeping on me. Okay.
So what did the other passengers around you say when they were making that decision to turn the plane around and kick you off?
Well, they initially said, the pilot came over the system and said that they were turning the plane around to refuel so we could get to Vancouver faster, which I thought was really strange because I fly all the time and I've never heard of someone forgetting to fuel an airplane.
Odd. So, but they're also saying, well, he was in the aisle and he wasn't seated safely on your lap. But you're saying that's not true, right?
No, not at all. We were in a window seat. There was a gentleman beside me. I did have my nanny with me, but they couldn't put us together. It happens all the time on flights. So I had another gentleman beside me. There's no way he could have been in the aisle. We were in the window seat, and unless that gentleman was not in his seat, there was no way to get in and out. So he was on my lap, and it was really just a matter of him being fussy for about 7, maybe 8, 10 minutes, and then he was asleep on me by the time we got back to the gate. So the passengers were under the impression that we were turning around to refuel. So when they did come on and ask me to leave, there were a good amount of people that stood up and said, "That's ridiculous. You can't ask her to do that." And they did, and yeah.
So how do you feel about this whole incident?
I'm a really chill person. I'm really calm. I don't like to make a big deal out of things, and I was so embarrassed. When I was walking off the plane, I felt like everything was in slow motion. I felt that I did have kind of the side of the passengers, because there were a couple of people that stood up and mentioned how ridiculous it was. I just felt I was embarrassed that we were getting thrown off of an airplane because my son was being fussy.
What do you want to happen now?
Mostly, I just wanted to put a voice out there, because I know that this has happened to a lot of families, and it's very difficult to travel with an infant, and I'm also 7 months pregnant. It's not an easy thing to get on and off of planes all day, especially when you do it for a living. And I know that a lot of people, since I said something, have been telling their more and more stories about their experiences with airlines and children, and I just think that something needs to be done. I think that it wasn't right that we were kicked off of an airplane for my son being a little bit too fussy, and then he fell asleep. It was a ridiculous situation, and I still don't quite understand it.
Now the funny thing is that you did find some levity in it, right? When you asked your son, did we get kicked off the plane because of you? And he just smiled.
Yeah, that was actually, we did eventually get onto another flight to Vancouver, and he was super pleasant on that flight. He was fine, and we asked him what he thought about it. He doesn't really know. He's still too young. So.
That's good. Sarah, we appreciate you taking the time to tell us your story. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sarah Blackwood in our Vancouver studio.